Lots of realizations need to look back for 333 years ago. Including this is the 1872 execution of the Philippines. This is your host, Jeanette Lumingit, and welcome to Century Talk Show. Since we are very far away from each other, they just sent me a short video clip of their action about the 1872 execution of the Philippines, starting from Miss Erica Nalam, Mr. Cassie Lebron, Miss Grace Lee Narciso, and Miss Rufina Mondala.
So in 1872, there is a brief uprising of 200 Filipino troops and workers at the Cavite Arsenal, which became the excuse for Spanish repression of the embryonic Philippine nationalist movement. Ironically, the harsh reaction of the Spanish authorities served ultimately to promote the nationalist cause. So the Spanish regular priest was executed by the Spanish colonizers on the changes of subversion. So if I'm in the character as a Spanish regular priest, I would have a strong feeling of anger and resentment, especially after the death of the three priests, who is Mariano Gomez, Jose Borgus, and Jacinto Zamora. And as one of the Spanish regular priests, I would question the Spanish authorities and demand reforms, because we will fight for the rights of our fellow native priests against Spanish abuses. But on the other hand, the martyrdom of the three priests apparently helped to inspire the organization of the propaganda movement, which aimed to seek reforms and inform Spain of the abuses of its colonial government.
Filipino secular praised in 1872. A lot of people are wondering, why do we need to study the past, the history? It is simply because every single piece that happens in the past plays a vital role and has a connection of what we are having right now, what we are turning right now. And now, I'm gonna be sharing short info of the two phases of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. The 12th of June of every year since 1898 is a very important event of all Filipinos. In this particular day, the entire Filipino nation, as well as Filipino communities all over the world, gathered to celebrate the Philippine Independence Day. 1898 came to be a very significant year for all of us. It is as equally important as 1896. The year the Philippine Revolution broke out, owing to the Filipinos' desire to be free from abuses of the Spanish colonial regime. But we should be reminded that another year as historic as the two 1872. So there were two major events happened in 1872. First was the 1872 Cavite Mutiny, and the other was the martyrdom of the three martyr priests in the persons of Father Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora. However, not all of us knew that there were different accounts in reference to the said event. All Filipinos must know the different sides of the story, since this event led to another tragic yet meaningful part of our history. The execution of Gomborza, which in effect a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos. A lot of people are making their assumptions of the Cavite Mutiny in 1872. Some were negative and some are pro to it. But we should always remember to stay neutral and think wisely of the decisions we are going to make before we spread it to others. We are not perfect. We commit mistakes, but what is important is that we learn from it. We were able to know our mistakes. Just like the people in the past. They commit mistakes but they learn from it. And through that, we achieve freedom. We are here right now. We experience the things that some people in the past don't experience. That's why we should be grateful to God and always believe in ourselves. Thank you.
Rizal stood as one of the great products of the Malay. Reyes' peaceful means of reform made him Asia's first modern non-violent proponent of political reforms. He led in the rejection of colonialism and the emergence of new Asian nation. Rizal notes emphasized that the Filipino of the archipelago had a culture of their own before the coming of Spaniards, and to show the contrast between the past and the present, his two novels No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo demonstrated how Filipinos were decimated by the Spanish colonization, and the country's present state was not necessarily superior to the past. Rizal opened the doors for other Filipinos to realize that we should be proud of our identity. He fought for what he believed, equality among men of all nations. Indeed, Rizal's ideas continue to make sense. He exemplified virtues of honesty, integrity, patriotism, and peace.
In 1872, non-Spanish foreign journalists about the Cavite Mutiny. It is important to study this history because it allows us to understand our past, which allows us to understand our present. If we want to know how and why our world it is the way it is today, we just have to look back to the history for answers. What happened way back January 20, 1872 in Cavite Mutiny? Approximately 250 Filipino soldiers and workers rose in revolt at an arsenal in Cavite. 11 Spaniards were killed during mutiny, but immediate assault led by argument forces put an end to the uprising after 3 days. This will two major events happened in 1872. The first was Cavite Mutiny and the other was the martyrdom of the three martyr priests. All Filipinos must know the different sides of story since this event led to another tragic yet meaningful part of our history, the execution of Comborsa, which effect a major factor in the awakening of nationalism among the Filipinos.
In 1872, we became the puppet of Spanish colonizers. 1872 was a tragic to all Filipinos. We became the puppet of the Spanish government. We sacrificed a lot. Even at our hard works, we sacrificed it to the Spanish government. They invade the lands. They they treat Filipinos in an unfriendly and violent manner. They mistreated the natives, in which they worked all night and day to the Spanish government. That was the tragic one here in our history of our country. Even even they gave a harsh labels and ideas for religion. So now I'm going to tackle about the Spanish administrators. In Spanish administrators, the Vaidores govern a large areas of land where they are responsible for preserving the Spanish controls of their colonies, implementing royal orders and policies, maintaining and fostering the Catholic faith, and defending the nation. Where I have the positive side and a negative side. Spanish administrators rules the policies of that time, where too much abuse caused by them, and the Filipinos became slaves. So that's the negative side. But for the positive sides, we learned about the religion. Yes, that's it, because most Filipinos are Catholics. um we adapted the culture of being religion, of being having a religion in our life, being a religious, especially nowadays. And if that was passed on the culture, like fiestas, what else? Like the misa, and even at our, what you call it, in our sayings, we have that misa. That word is Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. That's still in Spanish. I'm luckily to present my what you call this, my province, and my municipality, which is Lazi, because I have witnessed um the breakthrough of our church and convent, and our convent is the biggest convent in Asia, and that is made power by our ancestors. I have also watched the Baroque style of the altar. It was made in the late um 1800s, I guess, that time. And I have witnessed also where the the parish priests to be where to put after they become dead. So under the church, there is a, what you call this, like a prison. Then if the Filipino will not break, they will put them there and starve to death. That's what the rule of the Spanish government. I was very happy because I have witnessed it. And Filipinos nowadays will never forget how cruel the Spanish, those hard works of our ancestors were already carved in our hearts. So the Spanish administrators rule everything. Thank you for watching the video.